Good morning and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shael, and we are back for Surviving El Chapo Season 2, Episode 2. Good morning. Hope everybody's having a good day. If you chose me to help you through your work day, I appreciate it. Salute to everybody at work getting the job done on this Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday morning. I get it. I know how it is. And we back for episode 2. Quick recap on last week. Last week we got to, well, first and foremost, let's do a little housekeeping. $2 TTS, $5 TTS plus media, meaning there's a link in the description. If you hit that link, you can send me a donation. It'll read your name off and it'll read your message across the screen. If you send $5 for media, it'll send me something that I can react for you right then and there. A piece of media, video, whatever, as long as it's appropriate and won't get me shut down. Here's an example of what it'll look like if you leave a donation.
Big Baller sent $1,000. I am the man.
All right, Big Baller. So there you go. If you have yet to subscribe to the channel, please do. I'd appreciate that. If you subscribe to the channel while we are on live, what it'll look like is this.
Juan Avila just subscribed on YouTube.
So the link for that is in the description. Thank you very much. And that's pretty much it. If you haven't hit the subscribe, please do. If you haven't hit the like, please do. We're here early this morning to catch up on the Surviving El Chapo episode 2. Quick recap of episode 1. Episode 1 was basically them talking after they escaped Mexico, talking about how they got off the airplane and saw nothing but police, and how they were used for the next 7-8 months on the phone daily, setting up deals with their former, well, not former because they're current at the time, but their former workers. The workers was out there thirsty, needed some work. I'm sure they kind of probably felt weird about where these dudes was coming from and how they was coming. They probably didn't really know what the scenario was, but they were used to them never being around when business was being done, considering they were in Mexico for so long. But these dudes set up everybody that worked for them, basically. I mean, from what we're being told, that they were put in an office and they were made to make calls and trap people. The ladies decided in the last episode that they were not going to take the witness protection, and that the lawyers would hire security for them on their own, and that they'd wing it on their own. So let's see in this episode how that panned out. The synopsis for this episode says Pete and Jake continue cooperating from prison. With a few special privileges, they're allowed to see their families. Pete takes advantage of some of the downtime in the bathroom. This is the start of the infamous 3 Bs, the baby, the Bentley, and the billboards. I have no clue what that's about, so let's check it out. Again, thank you for choosing me this morning. Hope you're having a great day, and let's get it.
There was no book on how to escape a cartel alive. You know? There is no book. You know, when it comes to even like, when they say, why'd you even stay in there? Because we don't know no other way. Like, leaving it feels like you're dying. You're gonna, they stay in it to keep themselves alive, you know? Especially the Chapo Mayo, they make already so many enemies. And status but, you know, I wish I had, like, surrounded by friends that weren't drug dealers and weren't on the street, and that they were all, like, stockbrokers and real estate investors.
As far as I'm concerned, once you got enough money, you can make your friends whatever you want them to be. So, miss me with the Chapo and Mayo stay in the game just to stay alive. I'm sure they do. Miss me with the, not being around it is like dying. Everything's like dying. Them killing your ass is like dying. So, but again, there's no book on leaving the cartel.
I just wish my dad would just worked at a factory. I didn't think that we were ever gonna escape, like, out of this. kind of unharmed. But trying to imagine myself, like, spending the rest of my life in prison, I felt like I couldn't, like, breathe. I was felt like so, like, I can't say scared. It was just like this ugly, overwhelming feeling of touching the walls, like, and holding onto the gate, like, what?
Yeah, dog, it's called the overwhelming feeling of forever in prison.
What did I do? Like, what did I just do to myself?
Sweet.
Hey, it's 50 Cent.
And I'm Charlie Webster. This is Surviving El Chapo, the twins who brought down a drug lord. Season 2.
When you've been raised in a life like this, prison vibes are something you know well. The twins' father was in there when they were born and stayed there for the first 7 years of their lives. Their drug career only started because their older brother Armando was sent to prison when Jay and Pete were 17. They did anything to avoid prison life. Only a year before turning themselves in, Pete said he'd rather die than end up locked up.
I'd rather risk a bullet in my head than to go to prison.
Just a year before, he'd rather die. Just a year before what? Hold on, let's go back. Because they made a year-long decision just to get a tape on CHAPO and get out of there. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what they talk about.
Breaking the cycle and giving their own kids a choice that they never had.
Pete said he'd rather die than end up locked up. Their drug career only started because their older brother Armando was sent to prison when Jay and Pete were 17. They did anything to avoid prison life. Only a year before turning themselves in, Pete said he'd rather die than end up locked up.
All right. A year before they turned themselves in. They turned themselves in 9 months after they started recording shit. And to say that you rather die than go to prison when your whole argument is that you got out the cartel and ran because they was going to kill you, so you got to make up your mind. Now, there's a difference. I get it. They're coming for your whole family at that point, you know, everybody that's in that house. But you got to figure out which one you want. I don't think y'all wanted either one of them, you know what I'm saying? And you're doing pretty good at staying out. You did your time. You outside. Your wives is about to do your time. Hopefully after that, y'all manage to stay out the game and not get yourself in more shit. Because evidently death ain't for you. Jail ain't for you. The game ain't for you. Not being in the game ain't for you. It's about time you figure out what's for you, bro.
I'd rather risk a bullet in my head than to go to prison.
Breaking the cycle and giving their own kids a choice that they never had, a chance at a normal life, meant choosing to go to prison, the one place they spent their lives running from, and came at the cost of their own father's life, who was murdered by the cartel because of what they did. The consequences of their decision were slowly starting to sink in. Huddled together in a tiny cell in the special housing unit, the SHU, of MCC Chicago, with no idea when or if they would be free again.
I remember it being so cold that the walls would literally have ice on them. And I remember my brother and I were so cold that we slept on the same bed next to each other to keep each other warm. And I remember the guard saying, "Hey, you guys can't do that."
Yeah, I'm surprised they even allowed y'all to be together that long. I'm surprised they didn't separate y'all and then y'all only see each other at work type of shit. Work being in the office as you set up meetings with all of your former dealers and get them popped off.
I was like, he's my brother, you know? Nah, one of you guys gotta get up on the other bed, I'm gonna give you guys a shot.
Get up off that bed.
A shot is prison slang for a disciplinary infraction, also known as a ticket.
And I was like, they're gonna give us a write-up? Like, what's the worst thing could happen wearing the shoe? You know? it's already hard to be living in the shoe, in the hole. Now we gotta deal with the cold. And I'm thinking, damn, imagine dealing with the hot. Like, you're just never gonna be, it's not made to be comfortable. Or like the lights are on all night, you gotta make yourself an eye cover. And it's just weird, like, I don't
jail,
understand
bro.
how that helps. It's not made to be comfortable. Or like the lights are on.
See how that helps?
All night, you gotta make yourself an eye cover. And it's just weird, like, I don't understand how that helps.
It's not there to help, bro. It's torture. They call it correction. They call it rehabilitation. It's torture. Plain and simple.
Because of what they were doing and the reach of the cartel, Pete and Jay were huge targets. They were put in the WITSEC program, Witness Protection Inside Prison.
Sometimes we call it phase 1, phase 2. Or like, but it's not that. It's just like witness protection while you're incarcerated, while you're in prison, and there's witness protection for, when you're free.
So what's witness protection mean in prison?
It means that it means that you're gonna be safe, but they're gonna add a series of rules. And you don't get all the privileges that normal prisoners get. It's the cost of being safe. They have rules that could be punished with disciplinary action. So you can't use your name and you can't say certain things. You don't get emails, you don't get certain things that could come back and people could kind of get a hold of you. They kind of monitor who you could talk to, who you can't.
Did you feel like you needed witness protection in prison? Do you feel like there would have been, hits on you in prison?
For sure. And one thing, it doesn't matter who you tell on if you're a snitch, which is kind of ironic because there's the majority of those people, some way, somehow, cooperate. So I remember I would be bored sometimes, and they'll be like, "Oh, you snitches, oh, you gonna die." And I would sometimes I'll argue with them.
Go back 15 seconds. I want to see what he said about everybody else being
one
a
thing,
rat,
it
too.
doesn't matter who you tell on.
Whatever makes you feel better, bro. You got to call everybody else a rat. I agree, too. There's a lot of plea copping, a lot of that shit, but...
If you're a snitch, which is kind of ironic because...
Did you feel like you needed witness protection in prison? Do you feel like there would have been, hits on you in prison?
For sure. And one thing, it doesn't matter who you tell on if you're a snitch, which is kind of ironic because there's the majority of those people, some way, somehow, cooperate.
Some way, somehow.
So I remember I would be bored sometimes, and they'll be like, "Oh, you snitches, oh, you gonna die." And I would sometimes I'll argue with them. Be like, "Why are you mad? Mind your business." Or I'll be like, "Why are you here?" Eventually I won the whole shoe over. They got tired. What could they do? It's just us arguing back and forth. And me and my brother would make everyone laugh. And we had to do
right.
something.
Okay, now I get it. Yeah, if they're all in the shoe or they're all in PC or whatever, yeah, it's a bunch of ratas one way or the other in there. So the pot calling the kettle black in jail is pretty hilarious.
Our time, just because you're stuck there, sitting there. Eventually, I won the whole shoe over. They got tired. What could they do? It's just us arguing back and forth. And me and my brother would make everyone laugh. And, we had to do something with our time, just because you're stuck there, sitting there. And then what happened was that, next thing you know, some associates start coming up to the show. And now they know that we're there.
Associates that you'd cooperated on ended up getting put in the shoe with you.
They got on the shoe, and people started kind of finding out who we were. They'll be like, yo, is the twins here? Like, hey, the twins. I know that I wouldn't have survived if I didn't have witness protection.
With the twins on the inside, setting up their customers was going to get suspicious if they weren't there in person. Someone needed to do the dirty work.
Yeah, I figured that because, again, they said 7 months of sitting around giving people, giving the feds information, but nobody, I mean, in Mexico, the cartel already knows that you done packed up your people and you done rode out. What you think, they still believe the we're divorcing angle? No, they're past that all these months later. So my thought would be that word would get around and everybody would know by now that y'all did what y'all did, but evidently it didn't. Like, I don't understand that timeline of that part.
On the outside. And it couldn't be just anyone. It had to be another Flores. The feds pulled in Jay's wife, Val.
They asked for my help. And because Jay and Peter were no longer on the streets anymore, I assisted them. There was certain missing pieces that they needed.
Valerie Brasco.
They needed me to turn in the ledgers. I went to the U.S. Attorney's office and took 2 computer towers full of Jay and Peter's, their drug ledgers.
Val's job wasn't just to turn in ledgers and find missing pieces. She also had to essentially go undercover for the feds, at the direction of the lead prosecutor, Thomas Shakeshaft. Even going as far as wearing a wire to help convict the twins' customers.
The customer friend of mine, his name was Kylie Murray. He went by the nickname of Cali, like C-A-L-I. He was one of my closest customers we had. He was one of my first customers. Kylie was like a big target for the DEA in Chicago prior to me and my brother turning ourselves in. And they insisted, they wanted us to cooperate against them. We had a Lamborghini parked in Atlanta, and he went and he stole the Lamborghini, even though he owed me like $5 million. The feds came and asked about the car, and they knew he had it because obviously they were surveilling him, and it was our car. And once we started talking about that, they they wanted us to cooperate against him, and he had owed us all this money, and they had asked Val if she could reach out to him and give him a fake story that my older brother was going to continue to sell drugs.
Run a business.
If he would be willing to buy them, purchase them. And Val met up with him and he gave her $200,000 and she gave him the title for the car.
Kylie Murray, also known as Hollywood.
Yo, here's the thing too though with this business. These fools will stab each other in the back, in the front, in the side, in the chest, rob each other, do this, but for the greed, for the bread, for the money, they'll come back in a year or two. Bygones is bygones. Let's do this deal. And I think that's why a lot of them died, dog. You know what I'm saying? If you ignore the red flags, they're eventually going to come for you and they're going to engulf you, and that's just going to be it. So you see right here, dude owed them $5 million, still had the nerve to go snatch up their Lamborghini, snatched up the Lamborghini. As soon as they sent Val undercover and said, hey, man, let's make a deal, the older brother's going to keep on hustling. Everybody's bygones be bygones. Forget the $5 million, forget the Lamborghini. Let's do this. Like, shit is crazy.
Was one of the twins' biggest customers. Because of the cooperation the Flores family were providing, Kylie Murray was one of the many people arrested. In Kylie's case, it was for his part in a cocaine trafficking ring worth $1.8 billion. One night, whilst Kylie was out on bail, he was walking home and 2 men pulled up in a white van. They got out, shot him dead, and then sped off. Val kept the $200,000 that Kylie Murray gave her before he was arrested. According to Val, prosecutors told her she could keep it. Val's cooperation with the feds included a number of sessions where she would sit and proffer, giving the government as much information as they wanted before he was arrested.
Val's the only person that Val and Vivi the only people that be like, no, but we had immunity. No, but they said we could keep it. No, but they come on, man.
One night,
They
whilst
probably
Kylie
did
was
say
out
that.
on bail, he was walking
And they probably charging you for it right now.
home, and two men. Kylie Murray was one of the many people arrested. In Kylie's case, it was for his part in a cocaine trafficking ring worth $1.8 billion. One night, whilst Kylie was out on bail, he was walking home and two men pulled up in a white van. They got out, shot him dead, and then sped off. Val kept the $200,000 that Kylie Murray gave her before he was arrested.
Of course.
According to Val, prosecutors told her she could keep it. Val's cooperation with the feds included a number of sessions where she would sit and proffer, giving the government as much information as they wanted in order to help the brothers' case.
I had to sit down with the government, and there was different prosecutors there. There was supervisors there. There was agents there. And so you have all these different departments that are sitting in one room, and everybody is asking me questions. And I noticed that when I would bring up certain things, it's like they would hush me because they only wanted to speak about certain subjects. They didn't want me to get into properties that we owned in Mexico. They didn't want to know any of that. They basically said that they had no jurisdiction over that. And I did disclose to them, though, that, I had my house in Plainfield.
Plainfield is a small, wealthy town about an hour west of Chicago.
I paid for it with drug proceeds. Our husbands bought us several high-end luxury vehicles that we brought over from Mexico, several of them. And I disclosed that, we had purchased houses. I disclosed everything to them.
The $200,000 wasn't the only money that Val collected from the brothers' drug debts. There was plenty more.
There was some money that was collected, and we put the money away in the house in Plainfield. We didn't know where to put it. So we put it in the theater room where we had this built up floor, and we kind of just removed the fascia boards of the floor, and we put the money in there. Jay's attorney wanted to see me in person. He told me that the government wanted some money that was picked up in DC, and that it was in Jay and Peter's best interest to turn in that money because they wanted it and they wanted handed over, and that person, whoever it was that turned in the money, would be given immunity. Me and Viv went back to the house in Plainfield, and
whoever turned in that money would be granted immunity. This shit all sounds janky.
We bought these big Tupperware bins that you would kind of keep in your garage if you were keeping sporting goods or things like that you want to store away. So we put all the bulk currency inside those bins, which was about, maybe 8 to 10 bins. And we put those in the SUV. And when we loaded them in the SUV, the truck was completely full. I couldn't even see out of the rear view mirror, the side mirrors, just because we had all the seats down. And I drove it to the attorney's office, which was on the north side of Chicago. When we got there, the attorney was in complete shock. He didn't know what to do. He had no idea that
he knew what to do.
What he was supposed to do with all this bulk cash. He didn't want to be responsible.
He was going to pocket as much as he possibly could.
Responsible for it because it was the middle of the night. So he then called the government and let them know that he had the money in his possession. At that point, he was just saying that they did not want to come pick up the money. They didn't want to seize the money. So the next day, we went to the bank and we actually deposited that money at the bank. So it kind of looked like a scene from Scarface, where we're walking in with these bins of money and they're just counting and going through the money counters and counting it. And it ended up being $4 point something million.
The $4 million was only a portion of the full amount of drug proceeds that was collected by Val and other family members. Val handed it in to Jay's attorney with the expectation that she would get immunity.
He let me know that he wasn't going to disclose to the government who actually turned in the money until he got the immunity in writing, because that they were playing games.
They sound like they're playing games. The whole shit sounds like a game. And it sounds like a game that lasted all the way to 2023. Because if they said that they were going to sell you immunity for $4 million, and they didn't even want to come collect the money, they're already playing games.
So at that point, I know that he was trying to protect me, and he thought he was doing the right thing by having me turn in that money, because that's exactly what they wanted.
Right.
Remember, Val didn't have any protection. She was not a part of the witness protection program like the twins were.
Still had your bodyguards?
American Express member of identity theft slow, and if you do become a victim,
it's like never before. Create choices. BetMGM.com for T's and C's. 21 plus to wager. Illinois only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 426-253.
Agreed to.
You gotta relax.
The government made a lot of
3342 in partnership with Paradise Hotel Casino.
The government made a lot of special accommodations for Jay and Pete. Not only were they allowed to be together in the shoe, they eventually got to see their families, something that's highly unusual in WITSEC.
So they kind of agreed to allow us to see our family, and like on Fridays for a little while at the same place where we're debriefing at, their headquarters, whatever, in the DA office. They had like a room where they process, inmates or people they arrested, and it's like a pretty simple room. They probably just take your pictures and fingerprint you in. They have like all these little like holding closets, like with a little bench, and the door has a little peephole. And then they had like, in the corner of them, there's 2 bathrooms right next to each other, And there's only one entrance to this room. And my wife would come and bring the kids, and my mom came, and my older brother, and Val and Jay and the boys. And on one of those occasions, it was around, like that Valentine's was like on that, during that visit somehow.
Like the wake up.
Yeah. And I remember that because I remember she wore like something red or something. And I'm carrying my baby. It was kind of crowded. Now, whenever my brother and I were out of a cell, like there was a lot of agents, So they would like crowd, and they would like stand by the doorway, And like just kind of like they'll be conversing among themselves. And there's like cameras up there too, like in that room. So I remember like she gets up to go make the baby a bottle. And the baby like fell asleep in my arms. So I like put the baby down. So right away she's like making the baby the bottle. She's like rinsing the bottle out in the bathroom. And I just walked her towards the door with her, and I'm watching her like clean the baby's bottle, and there's no one like, I mean, they can't see me from there.
Bruh, tell the story.
They're distracted by talking to amongst each other, and I remember just walking to the bathroom. It's embarrassing because like there's my mom's there, and and
So everyone was there.
Everyone was
they not really paying attention to it.
I told Peter, I'm like, come in.
Yeah, she was like, come in, man.
Of course you did.
I remember just like.
And then I think you had the baby in your arms.
You had the bottles.
Oh, I had the
baby,
bottles. Yeah.
Then just going into the bathroom with her and being so nervous. So like I was like nervous, but.
Is this gonna be another story where Peter's like, damn it, why didn't I think of that shit? You always having fun, motherfucker.
I just missed her so much, and I remember just like, at that point, like, so what? Whatever happens, happens.
So what?
And I remember her telling me like, come on, Pete, like, I want to have your baby. And I was like, you're out your mind. She's like, yeah, I want to have your baby boy, and don't worry, you know, by the time you're coming home, he'll be perfect at that age, and you could play with him. And I was like, you don't know what you're asking for. But I was like, okay, you know, just in the heat of the moment, it was like,
Yeah, I think at that point we're just conversating at that point.
Talking
right
shit.
there. But I didn't say play with him. I said, I'll have another baby. We'll have our kids by that time. They'll be grown, and you'll have, you have a whole family by the time you come home.
Yeah, so she's like, come on, Pete. And I was like,
But mind you, we're still living on that. Oh, you're gonna get only 8 years. We're getting in the best situation. We're, he's the biggest cooperator. And
listen, man, you go into a situation like this, you can't never have the best outcome lined up in your head. The best outcome, that's a perfect thing. That's very, very rare. Something very rare that you're rarely gonna get is they're gonna paint you the perfect scenario, and that's what happens. Now you gotta always expect the worst, man. You gotta expect that whole shit is a lie, and you're gonna get what you get. If anybody's watching and you see any dropped frames or slowing up or freezing or something, let me know in the chat. I see dropped frames here for the first time in a long time. So, all right, here we go.
So you thought eight years, Matt?
I thought
a 10 year sentence.
I thought maybe eight years max, but at that point I was like,
no, 14, and then we're gonna come after your wives later for another 18 months apiece too.
Like, you'll probably be home in like 3, 4, 5 years. Like, I didn't think it was gonna even be 8 years.
I mean, I guess we were hoping for the best.
That's it. All that hoping
Anyways,
for
that
the
moment
best.
just was so intense, and
We prepared for the worst.
we got away.
And and then I was super fertile at that time because I just
what happened?
I just had my daughter.
Wait, he knocked her up in the bathroom?
So intense, and we got away.
We got away.
And and then I was super fertile at that time because I just
what happened?
I just had my daughter.
So we went for it.
Yeah.
So
we got busy.
Yeah.
You got busy.
In
In the toilet, yeah.
In the bathroom.
In the bathroom.
Yeah.
I believe we got away twice. So
Damn.
there's like one more time, and I just, afterwards I was feeling like, what did we just do? I hope she's not pregnant, And then of course she was pregnant.
Was there no cameras in there?
There was cameras out
cameras.
there. Like, but remember, there's a lot of agents. It wasn't like, and I remember we didn't talk about it. She was just told me one day, like, she said something like, "Are you ready to play with your?"
I know. I was like, I was already feeling sick, and I was like, I'm pregnant. 100%, I'm pregnant. So I took a pregnancy test, and then he called, and I'm like, I'm pregnant, and it was a lot of different feelings.
It was just so like such a shocker to hear her say, "I'm pregnant." Like,
Yeah.
And we were both afraid, like
Such a shocker.
scared.
Yeah.
And I remember just like thinking, like, what are the feds gonna say?
Were you allowed to have sex in
No.
the bathroom in the custody office?
Of course not. And
No.
it became such a big issue. I just didn't see how it's jeopardizing like so much,
So when did they find out?
So the staff at the prison know I have a baby. Like, she knows she was pregnant. They see her. But I guess they assume, like, wait, how long has he been in custody? Something. But I guess they just figured that's the way she came. That's the way they met me. She's pregnant.
That's hilarious. Little fed baby.
So I have a legal visit about 2010. I'm signing some papers, and they're doing an interview. And, all right, see you later. And The next morning, like at 7 in the morning, they come knock on my door like, PF, get up, legal visit. I'm like, legal visit? What are you talking about? Yeah, get dressed. And I go and I see the agent and the prosecutor in their same clothes from the day before. I was like, what the hell's going on?
They burnt the midnight oil on you. Something's popping. Something's coming up.
And they let me have it. I'm gonna ask you a question. Don't fucking lie to me. You have a son? I was like, yes. Is it yours? Like, I hope so. What the fuck?
What about the pregnancy?
They let me have it. They were so pissed off.
So they figured it out.
Yeah.
What did they say?
They made me be thorough about exactly what happened. And they're like, this is gonna be the most embarrassing thing because you fucking deserve it in your selfish. And I look back and I'm like, I understand how that was,
Yeah, he embarrassed them, on their watch. Him and Val figured it out. Not very hard to figure out. They probably thought, yeah, he won't do it. His family's in the other room. Mom, nah, they didn't give a shit. They was smashing. Whoever's outside this bathroom be damned.
I can't say I regret it. I have my beautiful son. I can't say who wouldn't take the chance if they had it, But they were very pissed off and it just became a humongous issue. They had people from DC come interview me and they were doing a big investigation about it. Like to see if I had somehow bribed someone or were they letting me as a benefit and and it was a big issue,
Because it was against...
I broke the rules and stuff and I'm like, no, I'm a man, that's my wife. If someone gets the opportunity, I'm sure it's not the first time it's happened. It won't be the last. I had other issues, they would call it the 3 Bs. The Bentley, the baby, and the billboards.
The twins became infamous for the 3 Bs. The baby was just the start. Next, the Bentley.
It was Avian's birthday, so I ordered her a car. Buying her a car like that was like buying her a Buick at that time. I had my sister-in-law, Valerie, help me. Not at that time, she was trying to help me. She understood what I wanted to do.
All right, he said his sister-in-law, Valerie, so this is Pete talking about buying a Bentley for Vivi.
Do first, so. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. A Buick at that time. I had my sister-in-law, Valerie, help me. At that time, she was trying to help me. She understood what I wanted to do first, so. Don't worry, I'll take care of it, To be honest, it was stupid because my wife didn't need a Bentley,
No.
Why did you want to buy her a Bentley?
I don't know,
There it is. What did I complain about in season 1 the most? The fact that they were showing off money without needing to. Showing off money, and then saying, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Come on, man. I'm not trying to hear that shit. He just said it out of his own mouth. His wife did not need a Bentley. Especially when they're going through it.
What could I get at her birthday? It's coming up. What I wanted to do first, so. Don't worry, I'll take care of it, To be honest, it was stupid because my wife didn't need a Bentley,
She didn't need a Bentley.
Why did you want to buy her a Bentley?
I don't know. I just thought, what could I get at her birthday? It's coming up.
Silly.
We had 10 cars. We had every car you could think of.
You had 10 cars at that time? Still? Yeah. Did the government not take any of them?
At that point, I think... No. Not yet.
Mm-mm.
So what cars did you have? We had every SUV you could think of. We had multiple, same Range Rovers. We would buy them, 2 or 3 at a time.
Yeah, but you had them where? Because if you said they didn't get them because they didn't have jurisdiction in Mexico and they didn't touch your stuff in Mexico, well, you ain't going to be able to touch your stuff in Mexico. So do you really have those Range Rovers? Probably not. They're just on a lot in Mexico that you can't get to.
I had a little party for my birthday. And then they were like, go outside. And I went outside and there's a big Red Bull in the car, and I was like shocked and surprised, and you know, I was truly missing him. Yeah, truly missing him at that point. I was pregnant, emotional.
I mean, the car didn't make no difference, to be honest. It wasn't like what you think it was at that point. You know?
No.
Like, we're more
You should have sent her flowers then, bro.
in need of each other than a stupid car, you know? And now, you know, considering the trouble it caused me, like, it was stupid. When the government discovered like that, what we did to acquire that money, you know, that was gonna turn over to them.
Right. So that's why it was a problem.
No, that was just part of it. Like, we spent the money on stuff like that. Just anything that could hinder, you as a credible witness, It's a bad decision.
Yeah, it was a bad decision.
The twins were moved from MCC Chicago to a different prison in order to help protect their identity. They often moved prisons, and we can't always name where they were due to WITSEC confidentiality.
Really?
The first two Bs had caused a lot of trouble for the twins.
Where they were?
But it was the third B, the billboards, which happened after they moved prisons. That was the final straw.
One bad decision after another.
Yo, no. And let's not say that the baby, the Bentley, and the billboards is one bad decision after another. Let's start in the McDonald's parking lot. You know what I'm saying? One bad decision after another, man.
Boards. And the billboards was just a violation of mine.
But it was the third B, the billboards, which happened after they moved prisons. That was the final straw.
One bad decision after another.
I got the billboards. And the billboards was just a violation of my security at the time. And yeah, they were not happy about that.
I'm sure.
We all paid the price for that one.
Peter, I remember for Valentine's Day, he wanted to put up these two billboards. Two huge billboards on the interstate, like when you roll up to the visit.
That's what my intention was, just to surprise her on her way home. That she sees like a little
What these goofies don't understand is that you just laughing in everybody's face with all of these moves. You laughing in the Fed's face, which is cool. Laughing in their face. You laughing in the cartel's face. Cool. Laughing in their face. But I don't want to hear no shit when it comes back to bite you.
token of my love and appreciation for her. And I felt like,
And it was a next exit where the facility was. So
but they were not small billboards.
they were like
they have to be like 300 feet across. Like to me, like they're that huge.
Both of them, and it said Philo. Marrying you was the best thing that ever happened.
And it was black. The sign was black with like big red hearts and white bright letters.
What did it say?
It was simple. We're 300 feet across. Like to me, like they're that huge.
Both of them, and it said Philo. Marrying
Velo? Is that a play on J-Lo? Stop.
you was the best thing that ever happened.
And where the facility was. So
But they were not small billboards.
they were like
they have to be like 300 feet across. Like to me, like they're that huge.
Both of them, and it said Philo. Marrying you was the best thing that ever happened.
And it was black. The sign was black with like big red hearts and white bright letters.
Wow.
So you kind of missed
It was
them.
simple words. It was like marrying you was the best thing that ever
That
happened to me. I love you today.
Yeah.
You're great for husband. I can't wait to spend forever with the second one.
So many words, so much romance. So much romance. Y'all are a piece of work, man. Y'all a special case.
Yeah, they were absolutely beautiful. Like I couldn't believe. Like I parked on the side of the highway and I just was just staring at them in tears with my baby, and I was just staring at them. And we were alone. We're leaving the visit, and we were just there. And I was just look back at my babies, and I was just looking at the sign, and I couldn't believe it. Peter's always been romantic. But I feel like this gesture was just like really
Stupid.
over the top.
Made you cry.
Oh yeah, I was in tears, and then I felt happy and then lonely. And
Can you imagine the Fed that goes into the office to argue with these fools about this one made a baby in the bathroom, about this one bought his baby mama a Bentley, and then he's like pissed off. He throws the manila folder in the whip. He gets in the whip. He's driver's side of the whip going down that same interstate, and he looks up and he sees these signs, and he don't really pay them no mind, but they kind of caught his attention, and then he passed them off, and he passed them up, and then he realizes what the hell he thinks he just saw, so he gets off at the next exit and goes around. Imagine being that guy while these guys are just playing around, throwing money, playing games, laughing in everybody's face. It's like taking for granted the fact that you still breathing and playing with that. And I mean, your luck has been luck. You know, you did pretty good considering how loose y'all was playing the game.
And then I looked at my babies, and I just felt like I wanted him home so bad. And it reminded me of what I felt for him as well. And not only did he show me what he felt for me, I mean, putting these big, two huge signs on the side of the highway.
For 6 months, you were able to...
For 6 months, yes. So, and I looked at them every time, and I stared at them every time, and it really made my heart.
Oh,
and I think that to be able to show her in like a big way, or to do something because, not because you can, because you want it to. Like, it's, you know, it was one of those moments that I felt like I just want to make her feel how special she was to me. What got me in trouble was that they made a big, like, a news.
It was on the news.
It was on the news. So they, like, a journalist seen them, or they talked about them, and they went out to make a story. Like, look what a husband did for his wife. Never imagined that the guy who did it was in prison. But later on, I knew the trouble was coming when the CEOs would come over to our...
That was a slow news day then. If people are running around, don't know the story, and they're like, a loving husband put up 2 billboards for his beautiful wife on the highway. What a token of gratitude. They didn't know it was somebody in the joint. You know what I'm saying? Slow news day. Whoever set that story up, y'all probably lost y'all job after that.
Who's the guy that put up the billboards? Don't forget what we're doing. Never imagined that the guy who did it was in prison. But later on, I knew the trouble was coming when the CEOs would come over to our unit and be like, who's the guy that put up the billboards? Don't forget, they're not supposed to know who you are, you know? And I didn't put her name out there. I just put
Come on, man.
Nickname, man. And I was like, damn, this is going to be trouble.
Come on, man. You didn't put her name out there.
Who's the guy that put up the billboards? Don't forget, they're not supposed to know who you are, you know? And I didn't put her name out there. I just put, like, you know, a little nickname, man. And I'm
good nickname.
Yeah, this is gonna be trouble, you know? It was trouble.
It was.
It was just not for Peter. I didn't say that. Because what I thought he would have said, because of the billboards, my best friend, my brother, who I spent my whole life with, got transferred. Wow,
them boys don't like each other. Not anymore. They're twins, but they're apart. It's always Peter that seems to be catching the ass end of the stick, right? And it's always Jay saying, but nah, bro, it ain't like that. I don't be putting myself in these positions to come out clean on the other end. And here's one time that Jay had to suffer the consequence for something that Peter did. And he sounds super upset about it. So, I don't know, man. It's a lot of tenderfoot shit going on.
That's a little bit bigger, huh? I didn't say that. Because what I thought he would have said, because
who you are, you know?
And I didn't put her name out there. I just put, like, you know, a little nickname, man. And I'm like, damn, this is gonna be trouble, you know? It was trouble.
It was.
It was just not for Peter. I didn't say that. Because what I thought he would have said, because of the billboards, my best friend, my brother, who I spent my whole life with, got transferred. Wow, that's a little bit bigger, huh?
Salty. They want to scrap right there. 50 should have just let them scrap right there.
American Express Member Week is October 9th.
Sports like never before. Free at choices. BetMGM.com.
Use Heaven's Door. Try their new release for 20% off at heavensdoor.com.
Should have just let them scrap.
That's
they sound like they
heavensdoor.com.
need a good
Please
scrap.
sip responsibly.
Get it out.
Pete's very public declaration of love for his wife, Viv Lopez, changed everything.
Vilo, well, I guess it's fair game because her last name is Lopez. Vilo. The fuck out of here.
It brought along a fourth B, breakup. The twins were separated for the first time in their lives.
You know, we all suffered the repercussions.
We had the privilege. It was a privilege granted to us, right? A special privilege because of our cooperation that the Department of Justice allowed us. Allowed identical twins, which were not, was not.
So when they were in the situation and they were hugged up on the bench, you know what I'm saying, saving each other from the cold, they didn't acknowledge that it was a privilege. They bitched about it. They complained about it. Like, this seems to be an ongoing theme of, you know, you think that you're a special case. You think that, you know, this happens for everybody. It's just happening for you. So then you do some extra shit and now you lose that privilege that you had. Like, you keep losing.
It was against policy to be together. Should we say that you was special privilege? Sure. Yeah. I guess it was. We were together. They made an exception for us. They made an exception for us and put us together. We were not supposed to be together and we were identical twins. And they basically told us, don't fuck it up.
Don't fuck it up.
We were bunkies. We were Sallies. In the same job. In prison. And we took it for granted.
That's it.
But the billboards was the beginning of like something solid they had. I guess he decided to do billboards and they found out and they started an investigation. The whole time they think that because who Val is and because who I am personality-wise, they kind of just said it's Jay because there was a V on it. And I think they're thinking V-Lo because they're thinking that J-Lo,
yeah.
Val. One day in March of that year, March, April, they come get me to the cell 4 a.m. Like, hey, you know, wash up, let me talk to you. And you come down to R&D, and I'm like, to put on sweater. I see that. I look to the window, I see that there's lieutenants, there's a couple guards. And I'm like, man, what could they want? And now with my brother, he's like, I don't know. And I'm just like, oh, all right. And I go and there's doors, right? So as soon as I step through one of the doors, they lock it. And I go into R&D.
R&D stands for Receiving and Discharging. It's where prisoners are processed and identities checked to make sure the right person is going to the right place. It's the first stop when you arrive and the last before you leave.
He's like, he has my bag that actually came, you know, from Mexico. On the table, he said, strip.
Roll up, you out of here.
Start taking my clothes and, you know, regular check, but he's like, hold on, I need to make sure. Let me see your tattoos. I said, I don't have tattoos. Let me look at your body, like making sure. And he has both our files, so he's like, making sure I don't have my tattoo on my neck and my chest. Okay, we got the right one. Put in your clothes. And you have the same marshals come get you, and you know, they roll up bulletproof cars. It's like 5 a.m, 6 a.m. Big entourage, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? They're like, oh, you'll find out. Don't worry about it. Where are we going? I can't tell you.
We're going to the billboards.
If I could see forward in the truck, it's a bulletproof truck, and I'm noticing they're talking, like a little bit whispering, like, yeah, well, he's not gonna be with his brother no more. And I'm hearing them talk, and I'm like, that's weird. I could hear him saying it's coming up. As soon as he said that, it's coming up. I know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Billboard. Yeah, because I know that it's there. I know it's close by. We just left. Like, it's coming up. Yeah. And he's like, yeah.
Take a good look.
what you been doing lately? He kind of looks back. I'm like, nothing, but I'm acting stupid. Like, and as we were driving, I could see the huge billboard. I could see that they're black. I could see them in the corner of my eye. I already looked far before he turned. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm thinking, wow, they look nice. But when he said, yeah, so what you been doing? He kind of looked at me. He wanted to see my reaction. And I stared at him. I didn't even look at the billboards. I'm looking from the corner of my eyes. I'm like, oh, not much, whatever the case is. But as soon as he did that, I'm like, shit. They know.
Of course,
I didn't think that I was still gonna get in trouble. I'm just like, okay, they know. And they drove me to the airport, and they didn't want to talk to me about where I was going, and it was actually a big jet. And I kind of made my way up, you know, your CHAPO. I kind of made my way up to the airplane, and the pilot said, hey, where we're flying? Where we're going to? He said, New York. I'm like, hey, like, why the fuck are we going to New York? And he's like, just get in. We can't tell you anything, just sit down. I was a plane ride to New York, to the MCC New York.
Dunzo.
Jay landed at Newark Airport. He was greeted by a sea of 30 squad cars and a whole bunch of marshals. They accompanied him on the 40-minute drive from the airport to MCC New York, right in the middle of downtown Manhattan.
You know, I'm thinking I'm going just for a week, a couple of days, and I'm going to go back to my brother. And, you know, I go through the process. When I get there, meet the unit manager, I'm like,
separation anxiety.
Man, for how long am I here for?
Forever.
For good. That hurt me. And I was like, but why? She's like, oh, because we need to keep a close eye on your ass. You think you're slick, huh? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. You want to tell me what your drug was? I said, yeah, sure. You just got the wrong one. That was my brother.
Dang, you ratting your brother out and shit? There's no depths y'all won't get to. 5 seconds apart, you ratting them out. Jesus.
Surviving El Chapo, the twins who brought down a drug lord, Season 2, is hosted by Curtis 50 Cent Jackson.
So that's it. That's all it took. You move him to MCC New York, and he's like, it was Peter that did it. Get him. Damn. These boys are savage. All right. That's Season 2, Episode 2. The 3 Bs, the baby, the Bentley, and the billboards. A bunch of bad moves. That's a fact. Bunch of bad moves. The baby, the Bentley, the billboard. Baby, you know, time is they're gonna do the math and figure it out. So that one was coming. That again was urges and things that sometimes us as humans can't control. The Bentley was the same feeling. I think he'd have got the same reaction if he sent a room full of flowers. So that was stupid. That was a throwaway decision. And the billboards, another throwaway decision. Now, you kind of see where Peter's shit was at, because Peter was like, yo, I'm gonna buy a Bentley, I'm gonna put up these billboards. You see where his head was at. Jay, you see where his head was at. The baby came and shit. But now, separation anxiety for the both of y'all. For the both of y'all. And good luck now. Good luck Val and Jay being able to get to the bathroom and make another baby now. And good luck with her being able to see him at all, considering he got transferred to New York. Where the first thing out of his mouth is, it wasn't me, it was my brother. Woo. It's a crazy game. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all being here. That was Season 2, Episode 2, Surviving El Chapo. I'm going to cut this down and release this on YouTube shortly. I'll be back for Uncivilized Episode 11 in about an hour or two. Hope y'all are enjoying your Wednesday. Have a good day. Thanks for choosing me. Thanks for choosing Surviving El Chapo Episode 2. And I'll see y'all in a bit. Stay tuned. We'll be doing Uncivilized episode 11 in a bit. Peace.